Shalom, shalom, yasharala, shalom, shalom, shalom. Here I am again one more time, right? This is the second part to the a video I done some time ago. Just coming out of the scriptures and saying why these nations called the Israelites barbaric or violent. That it has been said that we're a violent group, we're barbaric. So I'm just going through the precepts, showing you why the nations are calling the Israelite groups or the Israelite camps these names. But in essence, like for the most part, and I say for the most part, but you barely gonna find any camp that well, you ain't gonna find any camp that is barbaric, first of all, or in nature, or promotes killing other nations, or so we're not violent, we're not barbaric. What we do teach is what we see in the Bible. I'm going to go through some of those precepts today, right? And hopefully you'll be edified and understand that we're living in the last days, and these things are going to come, right? They're going to put us on different websites and list us as a hate group among some other historical hateful groups like the skinhead, KKK, so on and so forth. They have us up there with the likes of those people, those groups. But we're not going around killing anyone. All we're doing is coming out the Bible. We're telling our people to separate themselves from these other nations, separate themselves from these philosophies and doctrines that they have out there, and come back to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, so that way we can get out of here. Yahweh can come and redeem us, the 1/3, the elect, and we can get out of here, get out of the society, get out of this place, get out of this Babylon the Great, and from wherever we're scattered all throughout the earth, right? So it's just the message of the Bible is not welcoming for the other nations, and I understand why, because they've never been taught the Bible, right? They have their preachers that take up the Bible in their little Sunday churches or Saturday, whenever they go to church on, whichever day they go to church on, and read passage of the Bible or a verse out of the Bible, and then go on hooping and hollering, telling you life stories and different things. And, then they let you know that Jesus got the answers and to all your questions and all your problems, and you need Jesus. And they go on and on and on and on. But no one really sat down to teach this book. No one really sat down to teach this book to not to our people nor to the other nations, right? So as a result of that, when we're coming out of the Bible, it sounds different from what they're accustomed to, right? There is some violent things recorded in this book, right? There is love recorded in this book. Good and evil is found in this book. Right? The creator of the universe, he's the author of all things good. He's the author of all things evil, according to this book. But the other nations don't know that. So when we tell our people to live according to the Bible, forsake the philosophies, these holidays of the nations that we're scattered in. Forsake those holidays. Stop following them. Stop following the customs of the people. Right? Stop getting married to these women from other nations. Right? All of a sudden, now we're seen as a hate group, as a cult, barbaric. Right? Evil, black supremacists. Right? All these things they throw at us, but all these are the doings of the Lord. Never forget that. This is the doings of the Lord. And this is going to lead us up to Jacob's trouble, because this is what they're going to use as probable cause to get us to just do whatever they want with us, that whatever will happen during the time of Jacob's trouble. And I believe we're nearing that time right now, right? The Lord told Ezra in 2nd Ezra chapter 14 and 10, right? 10 through 12, I believe, that the earth has lost its youth. The earth has lost its youth, which means what? That the time is waxing near and near and near, for Yahweh Shai to come back and destroy this earth and reestablish his kingdom and rulership in this earth. Right? During the time of Ezra, that was 3,000 years ago. Right? The Most High told Ezra that it was 10:30 on the clock. He said that the world is divided into 12 parts. And 10 and a half, or it's 10:30, is gone already during the time of Ezra. So what time you believe we're living in right now? It's got to be 11:59. Right? The earth is only 6,000 plus years old. 3,000 years ago, he told Ezra that it was 10:30. So what time do you think it is now? Right? So let me get into these precepts and pull out some of the things that the Bible teaches and the nations have a problem with. Okay. First, let me go to Revelations 18 and verse 4. Okay, because we gotta the Most High told us to separate ourselves, right? Matter of fact, let me before I go there, let me go to Leviticus 26. Right, Leviticus chapter 26. Right, the Most High told us to separate ourselves. Matter of fact, he separated us and he asked us to keep ourselves that way. All right. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 26, and verse number let me see what I want. I believe I want 20. Let me see what I want. Israel. Let me see. It might be 20 that I want. 20 and 26. Let me see. Okay, yeah, that's what I want. All right. So this is the book of Leviticus, chapter 20. And we'll read from verse 22. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 20, and verse 22. It says, "You shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments, and do them, that the land wherein I bring thee to dwell therein spew you not out, and you shall not walk in the manners of the nations." You see that? So this is what we say to our people: stop celebrating Christmas, right? Stop glorifying yourself and celebrating your birthdays. Right? Forget about Easter. That's the worship of Ishtar. Stop celebrating all these pagan holidays. Halloween, 4th of July, Thanksgiving. Right? All these things, separate yourself from these things. Right? Stop making birthday cakes and blowing out candles. And most of you don't even know what it means. All that stemmed from paganism. Right? You got to question the origin of these things. Right? For the 4th of July, what was our people doing in 1776? They were still slaves. That's why I call it July. Right? So the Most High told us, do not follow the ways or customs of these nations. I'm going to read it again. This is the book of the Leviticus, chapter 20, and verse 22. It says, "You shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments and do them, that the land where I bring you to dwell therein spew you not out, and you shall not walk in the manners of the nations, which I cast out before you. For they committed all these things, and therefore I abhor them. To abhor them means that he hate them. He said he hate the nations. When we bring these things out, they say that we're a hate group. It's in the Bible. But the problem is these pastors not bringing these things out. But the Most High said he hated the other nations, and that we shouldn't follow after the manner of those nations. Right? Reading on, verse 24. But I have said unto you, you shall inherit the land, and I will give it unto you to possess it, a land that flows with milk and honey. I am Yahweh your Elohim, which have separated you from other people. You see what the Bible say? Separation. Not like what Martin Luther King said about he had a dream of white boys and white girls holding hands, right? What didn't the prophet say? Though Solomon say, though hand join hands, right? They both them shall be thrust through. Right? The wicked is going to be thrust through. So the Most High separated us from other people. Verse 25. It says, you shall therefore put difference between clean beasts and unclean, and between unclean fowls and clean. And you shall not make your soul abominable by beast. Like we told people, stop eating swine, because they don't teach you that in the Christian church. Stop eating shrimp and lobsters and crabs. Right? And lambi and all those other things that you think is delicate. Those are scavengers, bottom feeders. The Most High said, do not do those things. Don't eat them. Right? I'm going to read it again. Verse 25. You shall therefore put difference between clean beast and unclean, and between unclean fowl and clean. And you shall not make your souls abominable by beast, or by fowl, or any manner of living thing that creeps on the ground, which I have separated from you as unclean. Where do we read this? Leviticus chapter 11. Right? You read all about the clean and unclean meat that we can partake of or not. Deuteronomy chapter 14. You read about the same. Right? Verse 26. And you shall be holy unto me, for I, Yahweh, am holy, and have severed you from other people. Severed means to separate, to cut off from other people. Right? That you should be mine. Right? And so the Most High told us to be separated from other people. There's a difference between the Israelites and other people. This is what we teach to people, but they don't like that. The nations don't like that. They're angry at that. So now that the Bible is coming out, they're classifying us as a hate group. For what reason? Because we say what the Bible say, right? If I see a Asian man or a European man walking by and I'm teaching, I'm not going to go waste my time on teaching them, right? I'm going to look for my brothers and my sisters and teach them. Now, where did I get that from? That's from the book. But the nations have a problem with that. The nations have a problem with that. Right? So let me go to Deuteronomy 7 and 6. Matter of fact, I'm going to read from verse 3. Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 3. Okay? This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse number 3. It says, neither shall you make marriages with them. With who? The nations that, I'm going to read verse 1. And this is the same nations that he was talking about in Leviticus 26, right? When the Lord your God shall bring you into the land where you go to possess it, and has cast out many nations before you, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when Yahweh your Elohim shall deliver them before you, you shall smite them and utterly destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shall you make marriages with them. Your daughters you shall not give unto his son, nor his daughter shall you take unto your son. Right? The Most High told us not to do that. Now, let me give you an account of someone that did that. This is the book of First Kings. Just like that, right there. This is the book of First Kings, chapter 11 and verse 1. Right? First Kings, chapter 11 and verse 1. It's funny how that happens sometimes. You just open the book and it open right to the page that you wanted. Right? Book of First Kings, chapter 11 and verse number 1. It says, but King Solomon loved many wives. King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, and the Ammonites, and the Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, you shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. Right? So that was a sin of King Solomon, and the Most High punished him for that. Right? This is the time when the kingdom split after Solomon's death. Right? Read 1 Kings 11, read 1 Kings chapter 12, and you'll see the history of what I'm talking about. Now, what law did Solomon break here? Deuteronomy 7 in verse 3 and 4. Right? What nation do you see here that was not listed in Deuteronomy 7 and 3? The Edomites. And for some reason, that's the nation that our men like to marry these days. The Edomites. So it's an abomination. It's a sin. Right? It's a sin. Get out of Babylon. Get out of the philosophy of this place. Right? Let me give you a quick precept on that. Let me get Jeremiah 51, right? Fleeing Babylon. Because the ways of America and all these other places that we're scattered into, they impose these things in us that now we're all one. As if a white woman can appreciate and love a black man as a wife should do. Like, they can never do that. First of all, they can't understand the plight of the black man. They cannot understand systemic racism. If they can see it, and it can be very close to them, but in order to understand it, you have to be a part of it. And they're not. Right? I believe Frederick Douglass, right? He's one of those men that they gave us in February. Every February, Black History Month, they gave us the history of Frederick Douglass. He was married to a Caucasian woman. Right? I mean, you can't be teaching about, I'm going to use the term black because that's how they use it. You can't be teaching about black royalty, black self-love, and then you get married to a white woman. Right? But let me get that in what I said, Jeremiah 51. Right? This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51 and verse number 6. 51 and 6. Look what the Lord said. Right? Flee out of the midst of Babylon. What that means? The philosophies It don't mean to take a plane like GOCC teaches, right? It don't mean, and I'm not knocking those brothers. I'm just saying that's not what it means, right? Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. We got to keep these laws. We got to keep these laws. You see, that there you go right there. Deliver every man their soul. Because the system of Babylon is wherever you go. It's not just here in America. It's wherever you go. Right? I'm going to read again. Jeremiah 51 and verse 6. It said, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity. For this is the time of Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon is going to get burned. Their whole system is going to crumble. Don't be a part of it. Separate yourself as the Most High separated us as a nation. Right? And this message is to the 12 tribes of Israel. To the 12 tribes of Israel. This is not for the man in the hair salon or in the nail salon or the man out there eating raw meat. This is for the Israelites, the 12 tribes, the physical bloodline descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The Most High told us, let me get on Revelations chapter 18, Revelation 18 and verse number 4. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 18 and verse 4. And from there, I'm going to go to Deuteronomy 14. Okay? I just don't want to forget that. Revelation chapter 18 and verse 4. It says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sin, and that you receive not of her plagues. The same thing Jeremiah is saying. That's what's going on here in Revelation 18, talking about the exact same thing. Get out of her. Flee out of her. What? So you can save your soul. Get out of her mentality. Right? We brothers and sisters, we got to stop being coons. Understand that these nations are coming up against us, saying that we're barbaric, violent, only because we're coming in with the Bible. Look at the Israelites when we're teaching. Look at what we do. We come out of the Bible. Out of the book is where the violence come from. You don't see us going tearing down houses and mashing up different things, breaking down here, breaking down over there, going up in the White House and creating havoc. We're not doing all those things. Right? We understand, just like the Bible say that these things, these violent things will take place. It also teaches us that is the time and place for it. And Yahushua, whom the world called Jesus, ignorantly so, he's the one that's going to come and do all these things. Just like he overturned the tables in John, the 2nd chapter, you read about him overturning tables in the temple. He's going to be overturning a lot more than tables. And we don't want to be a part of that. Therefore, the Bible instructs us to separate ourselves from these nations, from the philosophies of these people, not giving into marriage with these people. That's a great sin, right? And we're going to get that later in Jeremiah, the 10th chapter, in Ezra, the 10th chapter. All right. So let me go to what I said. I wanted to go to Deuteronomy 14. Deuteronomy chapter 14. Right? And I'm just going as the Most High lead right now, because it's a whole lot to cover. It's a whole lot of reasons why they call us a hate group. This is Deuteronomy, the 14th chapter. Right? And I'm going to read verse 2. I'm going to start from verse 1. It says, you are the children of Yahweh, your Elohim. You shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. Here it comes. For you are an holy people unto Yahweh your Elohim, right? And Yahweh has chosen you to be a peculiar people, a special people unto himself, above all the nations that are upon the face of the earth. The Most High said that. So when we teach that, they point fingers at us and they tell us that, oh, you guys are a cult, you're a hate group, so barbaric. You got Edomites even crying, right? We don't care. We come out the book as it is written. We don't add and we don't take away from it. Let me get that in Deuteronomy. As a matter of fact, let me read verse 21 first. Deuteronomy chapter 14 and 21. Look at this. It says, you shall not eat of anything that dies of itself. You shall give it unto the stranger that is in your gates, that he may eat it. So who said that? The Most High Yahweh is bringing that out. We don't make these things up. We don't make up our own things. We don't teach from our feelings, thoughts, and emotions. We come out of the Bible. Right? I'm going to read it again. You shall not eat. This is Deuteronomy 14 and 21. It says, you shall not eat of anything that dies of itself. You shall give it unto the stranger the stranger that is in your gates, that he may eat it. Or you may sell it unto him, right? For you are an holy people unto Yahweh your Elohim. You shall not seethe a kid in its mother's milk, right? So, and that's going into how the nations used to worship their God, seething their babies the goat kid, for example, in the mother's milk, right? Offering up to their gods. But the point I want to bring out is that the Most High said that we shouldn't eat an animal if it died on its own. Like if we had some sheep and we wake up one morning and one of the sheep dies, like we shouldn't just eat that sheep. The Most High said we should give it to the Chinese man, or give it to the European man, or we can sell it to that European man. Let him eat it. Did I write that? Absolutely not. Did any of the camps write that in the Bible? Absolutely not. This is the same Bible that the Christian church have. The Christian pastor is just not teaching the book. And when we come out of the book, then the nations are angry. The nations have a problem. Remember, I told you from the beginning that this is all the doings of the Most High. And this is what's going to lead us up to Jacob's struggle. Right? I thought of something early. I don't remember what I was thinking of. Anyways, so we're a peculiar people. Let me read it again. Verse 2, Deuteronomy chapter 14 and verse 2. It says, for you are an holy people unto the Lord your God, right? And Yahweh has chosen you to be a peculiar people unto himself, above all nations that are upon the face of the earth. Above all nations. The Most High said that the Israelites are above all nations. We didn't write that. We teach that because it's in the Bible. We teach it because it's in the Bible. You see that? So we're not going around telling brothers, hey, let's get some guns. Didn't Yahweh Shai tell Peter to put up thy sword? Right? No, it's not the time for that. It isn't the time for that. We don't go about teaching old people that. What you hear is saying, brothers, you got to repent. Sisters, you have to repent. Come back to the Lord. Come back to Yahweh Shai. Come back to Yahweh. There's a judgment written for the Israelite that disobey. There's a judgment written for the nations that had us in captivity, had us in slavery, and still have us to this day in slavery. Okay, but I want to touch on the sin of King Solomon and what I see going on today, and what brothers teach, what I myself teach, and the nations are angry with us for teaching that, right? And that is marrying the other nations, marrying the other nations, right? My brother was doing a teaching earlier, and he brought out so some scholarly source from another brother from way back in the 80s. How the brother came up with this what is it called, a statistic that shows how the Israelites are they call them blacks are systematically the black men are systematically pushed to the corner and destroyed since before they become men, when they were boys, right? Psychologically, right? And how the men are even leaving and go to other nations to get married, right? Marrying the other nations. But we can't do that. That's blasphemous. That's blasphemous. Right? This is the book of Tobit. Tobit chapter 4. And I'm going to start at verse 12. This is the book of Tobit chapter 4 and verse 12. It says, "Beware of all whoredoms, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers, and take not a strange woman to wife, which is not of thy father's tribe. For we are the children of the prophets, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred, and were blessed in their children, and their seed shall inherit the land." Right? "Now, therefore, my son, love thy brethren." See that? This is what the book teaches. "Now, therefore, my son," Shalom, sis, Shalom. Now, therefore, my son, right? "Love thy brethren, and despise not in thine heart thy brethren, the sons and daughters of thy people." Those are your brethren. Those are the brothers and sisters of your own people. Love them. This is what the book is teaching. This is why I said earlier, if there's a Chinese man and there's a Korean man or a Japanese man around me, I'm not going to teach his word to them. Right? The Lord said to cast not your pearls into swine, because they don't know what to do with pearls. They're going to trample them down. That's what swine does. They play in the mud. So it's no point of giving them giving the swines a pearls, right? But I digress. Let me go back. It says verse number 13, right? No. Yeah, verse 13. It says, "Now, therefore, my son, love thy brethren, and despise not in thine heart thy brethren, the son and daughters of thy people, in not taking a wife of them. For in pride is destruction, and much trouble, and in lewdness is decay, and great want, for lewdness is the mother of famine. Let not the wages of a man," I'll just stop right there. I'll stop right there. So you see, the Bible teaches that we shouldn't get married to these nations. Right? Remember, I read earlier in 1 Kings 11, King Solomon, he went off by doing what? By marrying these nations, marrying women from these nations. Now notice the brother's problem was not that he had married too many wives, even though it's that. Let me get that in Deuteronomy 17, right? This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 17. Let me show you another sin that Solomon committed, but the Most High didn't get on him for that. The Most High got on him for what? For marrying other nations, right? This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 17, and I'm going to read from verse number 15. Deuteronomy 17. Where am I at? Okay. This is Deuteronomy chapter 17 and verse number 15, right? So this is the instruction the Most High is giving the Israelites on how a king should behave, how we should choose a king, and how a king should behave, right? Verse 15, you shall in any wise set him king over you, whom Yahweh your Elohim shall choose, one from among your brethren shall you set king over you. See that? And we tell our people don't vote for these men from other nations. So we don't get involved in voting. Therefore, we're separatist and we're a cult. We're diabolic. We're barbaric. We're every negative word in the dictionary they put on us because we teach our people what the Bible say. You see that? So let me read on. Verse 15. You shall in any wise set him king over you, whom Yahweh your Elohim has choose. One from among your brethren shall you set king over you. You may not set a stranger over you, which is not your brother. Donald Trump is not your brother. Joe Biden isn't your brother. Right? George Bush isn't your brother. None of these, we shouldn't be involved in the politics of this nation or wherever we're at. Right? Verse 16. But he, the king, shall not multiply horses unto himself, nor cause the people to turn to Egypt. Right? Meaning don't deal rigorously with the people to the end that he should multiply horses. Watch this. For as much as Yahweh has said unto you, you shall henceforth return no more that way. Here it comes, verse 17. Neither shall he multiply wives unto himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply himself silver and gold. So we see Solomon had a lot of silver and gold. The Most High gave him that. Right? Solomon also had many wives. He wasn't supposed to do that. Right? Now, what was the limit? The Most High didn't say, but you would agree with me that 1,000 women is a little bit too much. But the Most High didn't charge him for that. The Most High charged him for going to these other nations. That's why the Most High was angry with him. Right? So we teach that, and our brothers have to stop that. Our sisters have to stop that. Right? We cannot continue to sin. We have to repent. Like Yahweh said, let me pull that out in Luke 13. Right? Luke 13 and verse 3. This is the book of Luke, chapter 13. I'm going to read from verse 1. This is the book of Luke, chapter 13 and verse 1. It says, there were present at that season some who told Yahweh Shai of the Galileans, whose blood Pilate mingled with their sacrifices. So these brothers went to present sacrifices to Yahweh, and Pilate killed those brothers, drained their blood out, and drained their animal blood out as well, and mingled the human blood with the sheep blood, for example. Right? Verse 2. Yahweh Shai answered and said unto them, do you suppose that these Galileans were sinners above all the Galileans because they suffered such thing? Here's the answer. It's a rhetorical question. I tell you, nay or no, but except you repent, you shall all likewise perish, man. So we have to repent. Let me read verse 6, right? In verse 5. Let me read verse 4. I'm just continuing from verse 4. It says, are those 18 upon whom the tower in Siloam fell and slew them? Think ye that they were sinners above all men who dwell in Jerusalem? I tell you, nay. But except ye repent, you shall all likewise perish. So that's what we tell our people. Repent. We got to put away these women. Separate yourself from this country. Separate yourself from the system. Separate yourself from the culture. Separate yourself from the people. Love your people. Stop killing your brothers. For these things, they call us violent. Right? Because we don't teach like Martin Luther King taught. Right? We don't say that we have a dream that black boys and black girls holding the hands of white boys and white girls and walking down the street in unity and love and peace. That's not in the Bible. That is not in the Bible. Therefore, we don't teach that. Right? Let me get the book of Ezra, the 10th chapter. Because we got to separate ourselves. And like I said, when we do these things and teach these things, the nations look at us. When they see us wearing our fringes, they look at us in a negative light. Oh, that brother right there, he's from the cult. Them black Hebrews, them black Hebrew Israelites. You know how they say it? Them black Hebrew Israelites. But we have to separate ourselves. We can't let that get to our minds or heads, right? We got to stand fast. Like it says in 1 Corinthians 15 and 58, it says, be ye therefore steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the works of Yahweh, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain. Right? Matthew 5, 11 and 12, right? Yahweh Shai says that they persecuted, he says, rejoice and be exceedingly glad, right? For so persecuted they, no, first it says, let me get it, Matthew 5 and 11, right? This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse number 11. There you go again. It happened again. All right. Verse 10. Let me read from verse 11. All right. I pull over the pages on verse 10. Verse 11. Blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you. Right? Because isn't that what they're doing now? Putting us in the negative light, putting a dark cloud over the movement of the Lord. But nothing can stop this. This is Ezekiel 37 been fulfilled. These are the prophecies of the prophets coming to pass. We're living those prophecies right now. Nothing can stop this. This is a spiritual thing. This is not physical. This is not man's doing. We have nothing or very little to do with what's going on. Right? Matthew 5 and verse 11. It says, blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my name's sake, or for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. You see that? So the Most High, through Yahweh Shai, is going to bless us when these men, these nations come up against us, right? Because they see us wearing the fringes, and they're going to identify us with a hate group such as the KKK, right? Or the skinheads, or the other barbaric groups that they have out there, right? Rejoice and be exceeding glad, right? Smile. Understand what's going on. Because we're living these prophecies right now. This is the book of Ezra, chapter 10, and I'm going to start from verse 1. I'm just going to jump around and show you what happened with these men that marry wives of other nations, right? Because the point is to separate yourself from everything. The philosophies, their women, everything. Separate yourself from their system, from everything. From the coonery, from the Christian church, separate yourself. Right? The doctrines of the Christian church is nothing but white supremacists. And that's what it promotes, white supremacists. Everything is white. Jesus is white. The people of the Bible are white. The angels are white. Everything is white. When the Bible does not corroborate that, the Bible does not say that. This is the book of Ezra, chapter 10, and verse number 1. It says, now, when Ezra had prayed, and when he had confessed, weeping and casting himself down before the house of Yahweh, there assembled unto him out of Israel a very great congregation of men and women and children, for the people wept very sore. And Shechaniah, the son of Jael, one of the sons of Elam, answered and said unto Ezra, we have trespassed against our God, and have taken strange wives of the people of the land. Yet now there is hope in Israel concerning this thing. Now therefore, let us make a covenant with our God to put away all the wives, and such as are born of them, according to the counsel of my Lord, and those who tremble at the commandment of Yahweh, and let it be done according to the law. Arise, for this matter belongs unto you, Ezra. We also will be with you. Be of good courage and do it. Then arose Ezra and made a chief priest the Levite, and made the chief priest the Levites, and all Israel to swear that they should do according to this word. And they swore, meaning what? They put away the wives. Right? I'm gonna read. Let me jump up to verse. Let me see what I want. I'm gonna read verse 10. Right? Verse number 10. It says, and Ezra the priest stood up and said unto them, you have transgressed and have taken strange wives to increase the trespass of Israel. Now therefore make confession unto Yahweh. Make confession unto Yahweh Elohim of the Elohim of your fathers, and do his pleasure, and separate yourselves. Wait, what? Separate yourselves from the people of the land and from the strange wives. Right? Verse 12. Then all the congregation answered and said with a loud voice, as you have said, so must we do. So what they did, they sent away their children and their wives, and they separate themselves from them. Why? Because the Most High called it a sin. This is what we teach today. But we are branded as a hate group and a cult and barbaric. Why? Because the pastors ain't coming out the Bible. Therefore, nobody knows what's in the Bible. Everybody think now we're all one, and we should do like what Martin Luther King says. But that what he said is not in the Bible. Right? Let me read verse 14. Verse 14. It says, let now our rulers of all the congregation stand, and let all them which have taken strange wives in our cities come at appointed times, and with them the elders of every city and the judges thereof, until the fierce wrath of our God. Wait, you mean to tell me that God is angry with interracial marriage? It said the fierce wrath of our God. Right? Let me read it again, verse 14. Let now our rulers of all the congregation stand, and let all the men which have taken strange wives in our cities come at appointed times, and with them the elders of every city, and the judges thereof, until the fierce wrath of our God for this matter is turned from us. Right? And the brothers repented. They sent away the wives. Now, when you read on, it's going to list a bunch of names of the brothers that married strange wives, and they put them away, right? They sent them away. I'm going to read verse 19. I'm going to read verse 18. It says, and among the sons of the priests, there were found who had taken strange wives, namely the sons of Jeshua, right? The son of Jozadak and his brethren, Mahasiah, Mahasiah, the Eleazar, and Jerib, and Gedaliah, and they gave their hands that they would put away their wives, and being guilty, they offered a ram of the flock for their trespass. Let me jump up to verse 44. All these had taken strange wives, and some of them had wives by whom they had children. So what the brothers did, they sent away all the wives and the children. Israel, this is Brother Yosef once again, bringing out the precepts. The Israelite camps are not barbaric, nor are they evil. Okay, what we do is we bring out the truth. And yeah, like Yahweh said in John 8:32, the truth, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free or set you free. Right? So that's what we do. We bring out the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. Let me read the law Moses gave in Deuteronomy chapter 12. And I'm just going to jump to the point. Deuteronomy 12:31. Right? This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 12 and verse 31. It says, you shall not do so unto Yahweh your Elohim, for every abomination of Yahweh which he hates have they done unto their gods. For even their sons and their daughters they have burned in the fire to their gods. Today they call it Christmas. What things soever I command you, observe to do it. You shall not add thereto, nor diminish from it. So we teach the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Shalom.